Thank you so much for the introduction. Good evening from Nepal. As our host introduced, I am Supriya Kharka, a third-year computer engineering student at the Institute of Engineering Pulsar campus. And I, along with my co-presenter Rohan Chhetri, are going to be presenting a case study on openIMIS system and its implementation in Nepal and how can it be implemented in Tribhuvan University. So right now, let us, first of all, I'd like to thank the organizers for providing us with this opportunity to keep our words. And we are very thankful to Dr. Basanta Joshi for entrusting us with this presentation. This presentation will cover some key features of openIMIS, how openIMIS actually works, and then we will move on to the computer engineering perspective of openIMIS, about the technologies involved in building openIMIS, about how openIMIS functions in the front end, back end, and the database. And we will also be talking about the demonstration part, its implementation in Nepal with statistics, and finally, how it can be implemented in our own institution. So let's begin with the introduction. openIMIS is an open source software tool for the digitization and efficient management of health financing workflows. In a nutshell, it is an insurance tool. It is currently being used to manage a variety of health protection schemes in Nepal and also in many other countries. If we are talking about the key features of openIMIS, the first is it provides social protection to all. openIMIS has ensured that it has created an ecosystem which offers insurance, social protection to all the people, especially to those people who cannot afford the system. openIMIS ensures a reliable and cost-effective digital solution. openIMIS is an open source software which can be built and which can be set up for a very minimum cost. So due to that, it ensures that it gives an effective solution, so there is no need to develop a costly software. Then we have a technical backup. Since openIMIS is an open source software, that means people can contribute to openIMIS and it is freely available for everybody. So there is a lot of technical backup about how to set up the software and how does the software actually work. It is available for anyone from anywhere. We have flexibility. Due to the flexibility of openIMIS, the software can be adapted to various needs of low and middle income countries on their path to global good. openIMIS has been customized for various countries. We will see that in the timeline part as well. But due to that customization ability, it is very flexible and it is one of the key features. Next, modular architecture. Now, since we will be talking about the computer engineering perspective, I will deal with the modular architecture in much more detail in the upcoming slides, but it is a key feature because due to modular architecture, it allows continuous improvement through addition of new modules. Next, we have easy integration. openIMIS can be easily integrated with other open source softwares like Bamini, openMRS, etc. for better functioning. If we look at this figure, we have a patient who gets enrolled in the openIMIS software first. After successful enrollment, the patient can go to a health facility and through openMRS, they can check for insurance. Through the openMRS, they can get registered for the health facility. Then from the health facility can ensure if the insurance enrollment has actually taken place. After that, the patient gets healthcare from the health facility, and then after successful completion of the healthcare, the health facility submits the claim to the insurer, and the insurance claim can be successfully generated afterwards. So easy integration is one of the key features of openIMIS. Next is opportunity. openIMIS offers opportunity for students, individuals, organizations to learn about openIMIS and become a service provider. That service provider can be as an implementation partner or can be part of the local support team. So openIMIS has a lot of features. These were about features. Let us talk about the use cases of openIMIS in national level. openIMIS has for use cases, we have 4 steps. We have the step of enrollment, where an household or where an individual or a household is registered with the help of paper or application, and then that data is stored on the server. Certain individuals are given authority of insurance agent by admin who adds the household or individuals as insuree to the database through paper or application registration. In the context of Nepal, ward health volunteers, who are also called Swayam Sevak in Nepali, they are assigned to the roles of collecting and adding to the database. After successful enrollment, we have the health service sector. We have the health service step. A person who has successfully registered in openIMIS can then go and register in a health facility and claim for the insurance. openIMIS-based client registry, it is used by health facilities by contacting a server where all the data is stored. After that, the claim is entered in the software, which is then stored in the claim model. After the health service has completed, we move on to the claims management phase. In the claims management phase, openIMIS searches for the claim in the insuree database table with ID and declaration date. openIMIS then sends information back to the server with the information about fault or success of the process. Depending on the fault or success of the process, the payment approval is done. After claim management, we move on to the monitoring and reporting phase. Monitoring and reporting of the data to the certain authority is done by the administrator. That data collected during the process can be used for national health analysis. Now along with national health analysis, it is also used by governments, by non-governmental organizations for different kind of statistics, for initiating different kind of discussions. Analysis is further used in various health sectors, and it helps to keep a record of health status of a certain individual. So it is very important for keeping a record of a particular individual. So this was how openIMIS functions. If we talk about the transition of openIMIS, IMIS for Tanzania CHF started in 2012. Then IMIS was customized for Cameroon in 2013. In 2014, it was customized for Nepal. In 2016, the openIMIS initiative with STC and GDC was started. The openIMIS master version for Tanzania, Cameroon, and Nepal was launched in 2017. In 2018, the openIMIS community pilot in Democratic Republic of Congo and Chad was initiated. In 2019, openIMIS transformed into modular architecture and started community building. Then from 2020, there has been continuous development and community building process. So this was the transition of openIMIS. Now, finally, let us move on to the technical aspects. As I mentioned in the key feature, openIMIS has a modular architecture, and due to that modular architecture, it becomes very easy for different kinds of implementation. openIMIS has been implemented in 3 different levels in modular architecture form. We have the solution level, where the solution is considered as a coherent assembly of different software components. We have a software component level, where components are decomposed into modules, and it is dedicated to fulfill a certain scope for that module. So we have certain components, and the components are not dependent upon each other, but they are rather semi-independent. So they do not have to directly interact with each other. That is how modularity is achieved in the software component level. In the entity level, each concept hosted by the software component, it can be particularized to the specific need of the implementation. If we talk about modularity in solution level in much more in some detail, openIMIS is seen as the component of the openHIE platform. The modularity in solution level, it is achieved by conforming to the openHIE platform standards and also by adopting the prior existing standards. If we talk about the modularity or modular architecture in software component and entity level, it is fully controlled by openIMIS. So unlike solution level, in software component and entity level, the openIMIS doesn't have to adhere to the standards of openHIE or FHIR. From low-level features like login to central features like insurance scheme management, everything is built in as a plugin of the core openIMIS platform. Also, the deployment of openIMIS doesn't impose a distributed system. So there is a centralized system for deployment process. If we talk about the software component layers, there are 3 layers: front-end, back-end, and database. The screen that you see, that is the front-end. Back-end is the code that runs behind the scene, which controls everything. And then we have the data, which stores a database, which stores the actual data. In the front end is modular and component-based application. The back end is the services layer, which is modular and transactional, and the database is relational. That means a tabular form of database with enforced constraints like foreign key, unique key, and typed and mandatory columns. For modular transformation, as we mentioned in the timeline, openIMIS went through modular transformation in 2019. So for modular transformation, there was iterative and incremental process. In iterative model of transformation, a production-ready version of openIMIS was delivered at every iteration. And in incremental level, it covered all original openIMIS features, the features of that implementation with the plugins of the new openIMIS. So that is how the modular transformation of openIMIS took place. Also talking about modular architecture, both front-end and back-end of openIMIS, they are based on two major principles, the principle of contribution and the principle of event. Contribution prevents module to prevent module to require deep knowledge of others. So modules don't call each other straight, but they publish events on which other modules may react. So as I mentioned before, while talking about modular architecture, the contributions ensure that the modules do not have to directly communicate with each other. They can just call each other by publishing events. As it is seen, programming with contributions and events is much more challenging and time-consuming than traditional programming because it requires the programmers to think more about the module scope, it requires a need to exchange more generic entities, and it requires the readiness to change the code time and again. But despite all these hardships, why to use contributions and events? It is because contributions and events are very important for customization. As we mentioned in the flexibility part, in the flexibility as a key feature, customization is a very important feature of openIMIS, and contributions and events help in that customization process. So despite the difficulty in programming, contributions and events are used. The technologies that are involved in the front end, they are React components and Redux. The component mechanism is not provided, the contribution mechanism is not provided by default in React, but it is openIMIS specific. So we have to use contributions, but it is not provided by default, so it is openIMIS specific. The events, they are implemented via Redux and using the default dispatch reducer mechanism. The modules that we talked about, they are built via rollups and their applications are assembled with Webpack. Also talking about front end, each module contributes to the core module extension keys or another module extension key. The modular format ensures that there is no unnecessary dependency which can cause issue in the future. Also, customized modules can be created using templates. If we talk about the front-end modules, if we go to the GitHub repository of openIMIS, you can see a lot of front-end modules. I'm only going to be talking about a few of them. We have openIMIS front-end core. It holds the file of openIMIS front-end core reference module. It provides openIMIS core mechanisms, openIMIS core components, openIMIS modules manager, and many generic components that can be used and reused in other business-focused openIMIS components and various helpers. We have openIMIS front-end claim. It holds the files of the openIMIS front-end claim reference module. We have the openIMIS front-end medical, which holds the information of front-end medical reference module. We have openIMIS front-end profile, which contains the front-end profile reference module. So if you go ahead and register in the openIMIS platform, then the platform will have certain information about your profile. So openIMIS front-end profile is the one which keeps that information for you. And finally, last but not the least, we have openIMIS front-end template. This module can help you customize your own module. So customization is a very important feature of openIMIS, and that need is fulfilled by openIMIS front-end template. That module allows you to create customize that module or create that module on the basis of your own need. So this is how front-end is implemented in openIMIS. If we talk about the backend technology, Django, openIMIS uses Django with Django models and services. The events in Django are called signals. It uses default API in GraphQL with Graphene. The queries are synchronous, the mutations are asynchronous, and the contributions that we talked about, it is done in Django Graphene, which is enabled via openIMIS specific way of dynamically assembling the GraphQL schema. Also, virtual environments, VENV, is used for implementation purposes. We have two users in the backend. We have Django super user, who is the admin, and then we have real users. The initial super user must be created via the Django create super user. The admin can connect to the application via this link. Admin can create new technical users and groups to grant permissions to them. Then we have the real users, people like us, people who interact with openIMIS by a user interface to accomplish some insurance management task, but they do not have direct access to the backend. Those real users are created by the admin. For security in the backend, we have two authorization layers, the layer of Django default permission mechanism, and then we have the RBAC Django rule extension. If any of the two layers grant access, the access is given to the user. And then we have a third technology, database. The openIMIS uses MS SQL with constraints like foreign keys, unique keys, mandatory column. This database is managed via Django using Django object relation mapping, Django migrations, and also uses JSON fields for extendable objects. Currently, the software is being migrated to PostgreSQL. If we talk about the configuration, how do you configure the database for your own system? You can download and install the desired SQL server. You can configure then the SQL server. Then you download the openIMIS database SQL files and migration scripts. You can then initialize openIMIS database on your own server and finally create a dedicated user with full privilege on the openIMIS database only. So these were about the technologies. Finally, talking about the API implementation. As I mentioned in the key feature, easy integration is an essential feature of openIMIS. For the easy integration, API is of utmost importance. The FHIR API supported by openIMIS web services are FHIR STU3 and FHIR R4. The openIMIS REST API, it is intended to replace the openIMIS web services. The REST API allows the openIMIS mobile phone applications to connect and exchange openIMIS related data. The API can be used for testing and developing purposes. So with the help of API, different kind of integrations can take place. So this was my parts. In the upcoming parts, we will be talking about the demonstration of openIMIS in shortcut, and then we will be talking how implementation of openIMIS has happened in Nepal and statistics related to that, and how can it be implemented in Institute of Engineering, Cleveland University. So handing it over to Rohan. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Is my presentation visible?
Yes, but maybe we can move the panel up. Right there. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Supriya. And now I'll be talking about a short demo in which we utilize some basic pages of openIMIS web services. Well, starting with it, we explored about adding a new family. How do we do it? We open the system and then the enrollment officer has the role of adding new families and groups. For this, the entry through the insurance and policies panel, and then we select the add family or group. Then on the details page enters, which may also be called the data entry page. The data entry window is to be filled with the appropriate details of the family head, and a unique ID, which is also referred to as an insurance number, is given to each insuree. The family ID is the same as the family head's insurance ID. And now, insurance details about the person. The insurance detail window enlists all the details of the insuree. This window utilized to add new policies and new members to a family too. Now, talking about adding family members, adding family member to a family can be achieved via the insuree details window of family head. The members of a family are listed here. Then the family details of each member remain the same as that of the head, being they are of the same family. Details as well as unique insurance number is assigned to each new family member. Now, talking about adding new policies to the family or an individual within the family, policies for entire family are added via the family head's add policy option. For an individual policy of member, policy is added through the insurance details window of the individual member. Now, let us talk about the claim model of openIMIS. Some key features of the claim model are it verifies patient's data. We can add new claims, we can edit claims, print claims, delete claims, and also submit claims. Claims are submitted through a data entry page. Mandatory fields are to be filled up, and on submit, the claims goes to the status checked. The details are stored in the claim table in the database, which are now gone to review and feedback. The review and feedback of claims starts with it contains mostly only read-only data, but there are some modifiable parameters, including payment asked, drugs prescribed, and drugs received. This functionality allows reviewing and adjusting of claims from the medical point of view. Reviewing of claims is restricted to the user with system role of medical officer. Now let us talk about openIMIS implementation in Nepal. openIMIS is being used in used to manage the major business process of social health insurance, SHI for short, scheme in Nepal since 2016. It includes door-to-door enrollment, electronic claim submission features, review and adjustment features, and collection of feedback from the beneficiaries. A small map has been depicted in the presentation. This figure shows the data of August 2020, and the white districts involved at the time, the districts which did not have implemented openIMIS, but now most of them have. This graph, all these graphs also show various numbers of people who are admitted in social health insurance status of Nepal in various districts. This data is also of August 2020. And we can see the trend of people who we are trying to target. The ultra poor members are enrolled at the most more, and which is also our main targeted audience. So it's really going great. Well, now let's talk about what people think about social health insurance in Nepal. Well, these 89% of the people don't even 89% of the people know about social health insurance schemes, and 92% of people believe social health insurance is an appropriate option to relieve the financial burden. Talking about national coverage to date, now it has been implemented in all 77 districts of Nepal, having a national coverage now. In 2020, 69 districts were had only implemented openIMIS. On April 7th, 2021, Taplejung, Dolakha, Bara, Sharlahi, Manang, and Mustang were also enrolled. And finally, Kathmandu and Lalitpur, which are the capital of Nepal, were also enrolled, summing the number up to 77 and having a total coverage over the country. Let's talk about the social health scheme configurations. A contribution of 30 euros, which is equivalent to 3,500 Nepali rupees, is required for each year, which gives a beneficiary package of 1 lakh rupees, which is 800 euros. No co-payment is required. It covers a family of 5 members, services available, all inbuilt facilities, cashless system for beneficiaries. Now, adding an extra member would give 20,000, which is 200 US dollars, and it requires that much amount, and it can give an insurance of up to 2 lakhs, which is 2,000 US dollars. Additional 1 lakh for each elderly population, and additional 1 lakh for patients with 8 chronic diseases, which are listed by the government. Now let's talk about the project scope in Nepal. 439 health facilities, primary healthcare centers, hospitals, including both private and public sectors, have implemented open SHI. 1,710,962 policy buyers were listed as of March 2021, within which 1,430,000 policy buyers benefited from the insurance scheme. 70% of those buyers renewed the policy in fiscal year 2021 and 22. Talking about the dropout rate, it has significantly dropped, which is a very good trend we've seen. In 2017-2018 official year, it was 44.5%. In the following years of 2018 and 19, it went down to 38.4%, and in the years of 2021 and 2022, it has decreased as up to 30%. Now we will be taking data from a survey, which is data from a research article on perception of social health insurance program among community people in Pokhara, Nepal, by Sharada Sharma, Sobita Banjara, Tribhuvan University Institute of Medicine, Pokhara Nursing Campus. From their findings, we can see the participation ages has majority of age gap 40 to 59, followed by 20 to 39 years old, and 10% for the remaining 60 and above elderly population. Talking about peer participation's gender, it is strongly mostly women, but males are also almost an even distribution, which can be seen as a great thing. Talking about the participants' marital status, most of the people, 75% in fact, were married, 14% were unmarried, and 10% were divorced or widowed. The participation of SHI in the scope of home ownership participants has seemed to be 79%, with rental free or inherited people taking about 12.4% and rented taking about 8.6%. Talking about the family size of people, most of the people utilizing the social health insurance can be seen to be have a family size of below than 5 or at most 5, which is 74%, and a larger family of 6 or more, 27%. The how did people talk and know about the social health schemes? We can see that from the other pie chart. It is an even distribution of people getting their information. Most of it is from utilization of social information services, which has a 28.8%, then followed by insurance institutes, 24.4%, mass media, TV and radio, 24%, and community people and peer groups having 22.9%. Talking about people's reasons for enrollment, major reason can be seen as financial protection against illness, which has 83.8%. Some people did it for the relatives' recommendations, 5.7%. Others, better than out of pocket, which is 5.7%. And the final remaining is given to, done by community leaders and told them to do it. Now, let us talk about the factors affecting the dropout. A major factor can be seen within the health delivery system. There is insufficiency of drugs and other essential supplies, long time wait for health services, poor infrastructure and maintenance, unfriendly behavior of health workers, moral hazards of the health workers, weakness in the health insurance program implementation, weakness in the programs and policies themselves. The services which are not included in the SHI scheme are prescribed glasses costing more than 1,000 rupees, hearing aids costing more than 5,000, walking sticks costing more than 1,000, and crutches costing more than 2,500 per year. It also does, SHI also does not include cosmetic surgeries, except for cases with fatal cases, and also does not include advanced dental treatments. Our research findings, reasons for not renewing research findings as shown in the pie chart. It people had to buy drugs which they required outside of facilities, which takes up 50% of the chart, and poor quality takes up 22.2%. Well, some people didn't have anyone sick, so they dropped out, which has 11.1%. And some people were not satisfied with the services provided, which includes 12.7%. And some changed their insurance policy, 1.6%, and difficulty in accessing services, 1.6%. Talking about software customizations, which we can apply in the context of Nepal, we have cyclic enrollment. Enrollment can be made possible more than 4 times a year, which would be great. Defining first service points for promoting the primary healthcare systems and reducing crowds at large facilities. GPS location of enrollment assistance. Door-to-door agents can be utilized for enrollment process, making it much easier to get to the rural areas of Nepal. And inclusion of a Nepali lunar calendar, which is actually Nepal's main calendar we utilize. We can also give customized reports to individuals, and coordination with the IT team of Health Insurance Board for more customization can also be done. Well, now let us talk about openIMIS in our Institute of Engineering, Tribhuvan University. Well, openIMIS being basically a feature, a health insurance feature for family members, for our university, we can make it an individual, tweak it out, and we can make it an individual insurance policy. And the enrollment can be done for students in their enrollment in campus. And well, and then their yearly payments can be done with their college tuition fees. The card, which is required for health insurance, talked by Supriya previously, its QR code can be engulfed in the student's own ID card, making it easier for them to utilize it. The college can act as a bridge between the health institutes and for the students. Students who require the health facilities can go to the hospitals or health service providers, and with their ID card, they can utilize the policies. Also, doing this an easier way of collecting and getting feedbacks from customer uses can be done through the college means, as college students will be utilizing the service continuously, and it can be further tweaked for better improvement. Now, talking about our Institute of Engineering, we are a social hub for open source contributions, and so openIMS is a great platform to learn and contribute for new beginners in the field and to fix bugs with respect to Nepal's context for experts. And its open source nature allows it efficient localization and integration in different areas, such as its implementation continuing in various countries all over the world. And well, these are our references we took for our presentation. And this ends our presentation. Thank you. Me and my team will be answering the Q&A sessions. Now let us move on to the Q&A sessions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for those presentations, Supriya and Ruhan. Let me just enable the mics and the webcams. So to all our participants, if you have questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat box. So for the benefit of those who are just listening in, I will be reading the first set of questions. So the first one is from Dr. Alvin Marcelo. He's the Executive Director of the Asia eHealth Information Network. So the question is, from your perspective, what is needed for openIMIS to expand in Nepal?
Thank you. Hello. Okay. Thank you so much for the question. Along with both of us, we have 6 more members in our team. So I guess all of us will be answering the questions. So I would take this question. So in order to expand openIMIS in Nepal, I think awareness is needed in the first and foremost place, because still a lot of people, even the people in the city areas or people in the village areas, they do not have much idea about openIMIS. So if social health insurance reaches them, then awareness is the key to that reach. And also to expand it in Nepal for allowing students to be part of openIMIS, we can have fellowship programs or different other programs like these. These programs help in creating awareness. So I think that is needed for expanding openIMIS in Nepal. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Supriya. Anyone else who would like to add? All right, maybe we can go to the next question. So the next question is, what is your advice to other students or universities who wish to start their openIMIS journey?
As in our presentation, we talked about how we can introduce openIMS system in our university. We can also do that in other universities too, right? The basic step will be in the enrollment process, we can introduce people enrollment in the openIMS, and with their yearly tuition fees, the students can have their openIMS renewed every year, and the feedback can be taken from the university. Also, for non-technical people like students, not everyone is technical, right? So they can be given some trainings on how to utilize openIMS for the betterment and best possible way to implement it for themselves, as their system would be individualized, right? Not for the family, kind of. Yeah, I guess you can add if you have any more questions about this. I'm free to answer.
So along with what Rohan said, if students want to, along with the journey of insurance, if they want to contribute to the openIMIS platform themselves, then openIMIS is open source. So they can contribute in that technical aspect as well, if they want to start their journey.
Yes, thank you. Our next question is, between contributions and events, what would be the preference for developers if the goal is to have multiple applications to connect to openIMIS?
So as far as I have understood, contributions and events go hand in hand, because contributions help in ensure that the modules are not completely dependent upon each other. And due to that semi-independent nature of the modules, they communicate with each other with the help of events. So contributions and events go hand in hand. They cannot go individually. For connecting it with multiple apps, I think API implementation is the way to go. Then with the help of openIMIS API, you can implement it. Integrate it with multiple applications.
Thank you. Our next question is from Mr. Saurav Batarai from the openIMIS initiative in GIZ Nepal. So the question is, would students be interested in working on new modules for openIMIS as projects? And what would you need to get started?
So I guess for starting, first you need to have a basic knowledge, because building front end, I also tried to implement the module building, and it uses React, which is a JavaScript framework. So you need to have basic knowledge of that technology. And then it is the openIMIS GitHub repository has provided a template. So in that template, that module can do anything that you wish. So if you have the basic idea of React or the JavaScript framework, then you can get started on the project and just customize the openIMIS according to your need.
Yes, also Sir Saurav also left a link in the chat box. Maybe the students in the call can also take a look. I think our chair in the Asia eHealth Information Network, Dr. Bunchai, is raising his hand. Dr. Bunchai, would you like to speak?
Supriya and Lohan, thank you very much. You have we enjoy your presentation. I have a question. It seems like you're talking more on the technical side of the social health insurance. And my question is about, in your developing team, do you have kind of the health professional working with you? And did you go and to see the real world, that how the doctor or the health professional, health workers use the system and how insurer use the system? And are those, if you have go there, and are those helping you on customizing the openIMIS over?
So we have Ranju GC, who is part of our team. So she uses the social health insurance program. So Ranju, are you there?
Yes.
So she will be able to tell it in a better way.
Yes, I am using it from about 2016, and this is a very nice. It first, when you listen about it, when you heard about it, we get attracted to it, and but when we have researched about it, the dropout rate is very high, still decreasing, but still high. That is because of the schemes, SHI scheme in Nepal. It provides more or less facility than it should. Many drugs are not included in it, and many systems are not included in it. So that's why this is minor shortcomings, but it is very nice.
Who are the main user? It seems from your graphical is the insurers is the main user. And do you have the single insurer the whole country, or you have many insurers that use your the openIMIS? And if the many insurer, how are they used the same way, or you have to go and customize on that? Do you have this experience, or you only have the experience in your university?
I think what Sir is asking is if social health insurance, if openIMIS is being implemented by one company or one insurance agent, or it is being implemented by many other companies. So I think there is only one. Am I right, Ranju? There is.
Yes, it is only implemented by the government of Nepal as social health insurance scheme, and all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You do a very good job on that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bunchai. Our next question is there a national e-health governance steering committee in Nepal? And is there a published blueprint to guide different stakeholders and how to contribute to the national e-health program?
I think, as Ranju mentioned, there is one social health insurance that has been implemented, and it is a government body. So I think that is the only place where the implementation is taking place, as far as I know. So would any of you guys like to add on it?
And while talking about the blueprint for stakeholders and contributors, I don't believe there is any blueprint for in such fields. We just have like we're utilizing it to rural places of Nepal, where even the internet facilities is really difficult to get. So, but actually, Nepal is actually focusing on bringing its numbers of people's uses up and who, like it's just that's actually the main problem we're having at hand more than what to contribute. Did that answer the question or did it just make things more confusing? Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Yes. And then the next question is, do the 5 members of the family need to be pre-registered at the outset, or only if they need to avail their benefits?
No, they have to be pre-registered for the Swayam Sevaks, or who are the ward health volunteers. They come for pre-registration. Then only after you are enrolled in the system, then they can utilize the benefits if they have any need to use it. But they have to register for the service.
All right, and then after that, at what age will Nepalese start getting health insurance for themselves and for their families?
So as the statistics shown by Rohan in his slide, the people who are married, they tend to take the health insurance, but I don't think there is a particular age barrier to take it. But people who are married and people who have already started a family tend to move towards taking that health insurance for themselves or their family. So would you like to add on it, Rohan?
So as far as the statistics go, I believe social insurance is kind of like people after marriage, they become more aware of the cost of health insurance, health and their facilities as they think about their family and all of that. So mostly there is no age limit as what is the minimum age you should be to enroll. But most of the findings show that people around the age of marriage, like 20s, 30s, and mostly 40s, 50s, they are the ones who are participant in social insurance. I guess that's it. Does anybody want to add about it to the team? The team, does anybody want to add? Or is that
As
okay?
Rohan mentioned, there has to be a head of the family for the registration, and the remaining registry can be anyone from his family. There is no age limit.
Charis.
Yes, Dr. Alvin.
Yeah, I just wanted to extend my congratulations to Rohan and Supriya for a very interesting and informative presentation. I wanted to ask if the Euro 30 euros annual premium, by the way, that's very affordable compared to the Philippines. I think our national program, health insurance program, started at 60 euros. Do you think for college students like you, is 30 euros too much, or is it monthly or annually?
It's annually.
Yeah, that's very low. That's very
Yeah.
I mean, that's very. Is 30 euros for a student to pay for his family of 5? Is that affordable for students?
Actually, talking about it, it's affordable. Like talking, if we get sick and money goes to health without insurance, it would be a very big headache, right?
Right.
Yeah, and in this case, giving 3,000 it's affordable. It's really affordable.
And how many students do you think are in the Institute of Engineering?
I believe in our college we have 400.
Ballpark.
There's a lot of students actually. 10, 40,000.
We have about 1,000, I think. We have more.
No, in our college, including
as a
all of
whole,
them,
we have about
40,000, I guess.
6,000.
4,000, okay. 6,000, yeah.
6,000. So
Yeah.
6,000 times 30 euros is about 18,000 euros. So for 18,000 euros, that will insure all of the 6,000 Institute of Engineering students and their families, up to 5 of them. Is that how it's work? Is that how it works?
Not exactly. Well, the family, we talked about implementing in individual colleges, right? And in colleges, we wanted to tweak the system a little bit. Like the family head would be the student in this case, right? And it would also cover 5 people. We can put that too, like you said, cover the whole family, that would be a very good option. But on our perspective, we think it is good enough. Like we thought about for students, it would be individualized kind of. The system is for 5 people, but in the case of students, we thought about for one person. So effectively 5,000, 6,000 people would be insured by the situation you mentioned right now, not their whole family.
And is there an Institute of Medicine in Kathmandu?
Sorry, could you rephrase the question?
Institute for Health Sciences, or
Yeah,
like
yeah, there is Institute of Medication.
Medication. The Institute of Medicine.
are you able to get to know some of them and like collaborate?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Because that's a good way to start something.
Actually, the statistics which we used for our research findings, it is from Institute of Medicine. Yeah, it is their findings actually. They did it for, and we just
very good. Having that partnership is actually very powerful, especially as you progress in your career. Those networks are going to be very useful for your professional development. Dr. Bunchay?
I would like to follow the Dr. Arvin question about the insuree, the person who insure, the insurer. How who are the provider in your system, the clinic or the hospital for the 6,000 people?
Yeah.
Or
please continue.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and the second question, the question.
The question.
Okay. When you get sick, where did you go? How many clinics or the hospital that you can go for the for your sickness or something like that? Or you have a specific hospital that you have to go, or you can go anywhere?
Okay. Right now, as of now, how it is being implemented is the government, the SHI body, specifies a certain hospital in a certain district. Like it's all over Nepal, so some people from rural areas can't come to a modern place, right? So for rural areas, a specific rural hospital or health institute is given, and the people who do insurance, they can get theirs at that certain place only. And well, if the person chooses to move or migrate somewhere else, they have to like revoke the previous insurance and do a new one. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, you mean that your institutes also have to go to certain hospital, right? Because we're talking about the 6,000 something.
Yeah.
Right.
So
6,000.
we also talked about in our limitations and not exactly limitations, but software configurations we can do better. Is we talked about it only had one first person hospital, right? We can expand it. The government can utilize what do you call it? Give hospitals, like specify more hospitals for a given reason, which would better disperse the crowd of people. Like at once, if 6,000 people come to hospital, health workers can't deal with that, right? Even if how big a hospital is. So I believe that is in part an improvement we propose to.
So currently only one hospital that you can go, right?
Not exactly for each district one.
Okay.
It's like
so
the thing is, while the registration, we choose which one hospital we prefer to go, and we choose our nearby hospital. And the hospitals chosen will be the one where we go when we are sick. We can choose the hospital, but we can choose only one hospital.
But it seems like to be insured is mandatory or is voluntary for the student. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you opt out? You don't want. You are the student. Can you opt out, or you have to pay this money to be in this kind of the insurer for your university or for your institutes?
I believe having a voluntary system would be much preferred because people can choose, right? that's what we would propose, like in the enrollment in a university, the student can opt out from their service, and also a certain small desk in the college, in the institute, where people who are after a year they have done their studying and they think health insurance might be good for me too, they can enroll at that point too, right? That is how we thought of it, implementing it.
But right now it's not, right? Right now,
It
when
is.
you enroll, then it will be have the insurance with your enrollment
Yeah,
in the university.
Right now, it's implemented as we talked previously. Supriya talked about it a lot more than me. 5 people, and if you want to add 6 people, then it's somewhat the cost of insurance, like 30 euros, it goes up by 20,000 Nepali rupees per person, and the insurance amount which we receive too also goes up. It's kind of like that right now. We propose it that way for individual students, like we're talking about a later implementation.
Yes, that is just what we envision might happen for. And we, yes, as Rohan mentioned, voluntary enrollment was the best way to go.
I have a question for Dr. Bunchai. Dr. Bunchai, in Thailand, everyone is insured, and at the start of the year, are they assigned to one primary care practitioner, or they can go to any primary care practitioner?
Actually, every Thai citizen will be entitled in one insurance scheme. So it depends on from you. But if you don't, usually the student are not working, so they usually enroll in the universal coverage, which paid by the government. So, and when they enroll in the university, usually the university medical school will be their primary care and secondary care. They cannot choose that. And if the insight is that because of all college students is younger people, so pool risk pool is big, and there is not much, not many sick people, right? So they are kind of okay to accept those, but they don't want to accept the people around the university, like the aging people or the people who are. So they usually said, okay, I will accept all the students to treat in the university clinic and hospital, which is the super tertiary hospital. Is that answer your questions?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bunchai. It's the top of the hour, so I'd like to thank Supriya, Rohan, Professor Rabindra, and all the other participants from Nepal. Of course, our chair, Dr. Bunchai, for gracing this webinar. I learned a lot about the Nepal students and the openIMIS and your knowledge about openIMIS. I am very impressed. So with that, I thank everyone. Good night, and hope to see you in our next webinar. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you for providing us this opportunity.
Thank you.